Welcome back to Old Charles. Today we are taking a very close look at a coin that millions and millions of people have in their jars, drawers and pockets right now. It's the 1993 Philippines 5 peso coin. This is the one with the portrait of Andres Bonifacio on the obverse and the iconic Philippine flag waving on the reverse. Super common, right? You probably think it's just worth 5 pesos. And you know what, most of the time it is. But under very specific circumstances, this extremely common coin can be worth a substantial amount of money to collectors. We're talking hundreds or even thousands of times its face value. So how do you know if you have the rare one? That's what we're going to figure out together today. We're going to examine every single detail. First, some basic context. This coin was minted from 1991 to 1994. It's a nickel brass coin, pretty hefty, feels substantial in your hand. It was part of the new design series of Philippine coins, and it replaced the older 5 peso bill. Because it was minted for circulation in huge numbers, finding a 1993 is not special in itself. I repeat, finding a 1993 5 peso coin is not special. You need to look for errors. You need to look for varieties. And most importantly, you need to look for the specific mint that produced it. The single most important thing to check on your 1993 5 peso is the mint mark. This tiny little letter tells you where the coin was made. There are 3 possibilities. No mint mark at all, which means it was struck at the main Philippine mint in Quezon City. The letter M, which means it was struck at the Manila Mint. Or the letter D, which stands for the Denver Mint in the United States. Yes, the United States. The Philippine government contracted the Denver Mint to produce some of its coins in 1993 due to high demand. Now here is the critical piece of information. The 1993 5 peso coins from the Denver Mint, the ones with the tiny D mint mark, are the rare ones. They were produced in much smaller numbers compared to the ones made in the Philippines. Think of it like this: for every maybe 50 or 100 regular 1993 coins you find, you might find one with the D mint mark. It is the key to value, but wait, there's more. Even among the Denver minted coins, there are 2 major varieties that collectors go crazy for. The first is the so-called broken die variety. Look at the flag on the reverse. Specifically, look at the 3 stars. On a normal coin, the stars are sharp and distinct. On the broken die variety, the upper right star and sometimes the rays of the sun will appear blob-like, smeared or incomplete. This was caused by a damaged die at the Denver Mint. This error is highly sought after. The second and even more famous variety is the double strike or double denomination error. This is the holy grail. This is where a planchet, the blank metal disc that was supposed to be struck as a 25 centimo coin, got fed into the press and was struck with the 5 peso dies. So you have a coin that is the size of a 25 centimo, but it has the design of a 5 peso. It's unmistakable when you see it. It's smaller in diameter and much thicker. These are incredibly rare. A standard circulated 1993 5 peso with no mint mark or an M mint mark is worth exactly 5 pesos. Its face value. In uncirculated condition, maybe it's worth 20 to 50 pesos to a completist. In 1993 5 peso with the D mint mark in decent circulated condition can be worth between 1,500 to 3,000 pesos. Sometimes more, depending on the buyer and the market. A 1993 D5 peso with the broken die error in clear condition can be worth from 5,000 to 15,000 pesos or more, and the double strike error. The 25 centimo planchet error. In authenticated condition, that coin can sell for 20,000 pesos, 40,000 pesos or even higher. It is a major error coin. So your action steps are these. First, get all your 1993 5 peso coins. Second, get a good magnifying glass or use your phone's camera on macro mode. Third, examine the area near the date for that tiny letter D. If you find a D, you have a winner. Then examine the stars on the flag carefully. Look for any blurring or smearing. And finally, check the size. Compare it to a known 25 centimo coin. Is it smaller and chunkier? If so, you might have hit the jackpot. One crucial note: condition is everything. A worn-out D mintmark coin will be worth less than a sharp one. Also be aware of fakes. People have been known to try and fake the D mintmark or artificially create the broken die look. If you think you have a genuine rare piece, your best move is to have it authenticated by a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. That slab of plastic it comes in will protect it and verify its authenticity, which skyrockets its value to serious collectors. The thrill of coin collecting is exactly this. The idea that you could be carrying a small fortune in your change and not even know it. The 1993 5 peso is a perfect example of a common coin with a rare and valuable sibling. So go check your coins right now. I'm not kidding, pause this video and go look. That jar of old change your Lola gave you, that drawer full of random stuff, check it. Did you find anything? Let me know down in the comments. Tell me if you found a 1993 D or if you have any questions about a coin you're unsure about. The community here is great at helping each other out. What is the weight of history? Can you hold it in your hand? Can you feel its texture, see its wear, and trace the story of a nation through a small, circular piece of metal? Today, we are going to try. We are going to explore the deep and layered history of the Philippines, not through a textbook, but through one of its most ubiquitous objects, a coin. Specifically, we will use the 1993 5 peso coin as our endpoint, a single leaf on a very old tree, and trace its roots back through storms and revolutions, through colonizers and liberators, to see how this coin came to be. This coin, with Andres Bonifacio and the waving flag, is a monument to an idea, the Filipino nation. But to understand this monument, we must first understand the ground it was built upon. And that ground was not one kingdom, but many. Before the Spanish galleons arrived, the islands were a tapestry of independent barangays, thalassocracies, and trading states. They traded with China, with the Majapahit, with Arab merchants. And they used currency. Not coins minted in a central mint, but gold. Piloncitos. Small, bead-like gold pieces, and gold bars. They also used barter. This was an economic world connected to the great Asian trade routes, a world of its own sophistication. Then, in 1521, Ferdinand Magellan arrived. And with him, the long and complex era of Spanish colonization began. For over 330 years, the Philippines was part of the Spanish Empire. And the currency reflected that. The Spanish brought their coinage system. We saw the crude, hand-hammered cob coins, often irregular in shape, stamped with the Spanish cross and coat of arms. Later came the more machine-struck coins from mints in Mexico and Peru, silver reals and gold escudos. These coins, with the profile of a Spanish monarch, were the sound of the colonial economy. They financed the galleon trade, the building of churches, and the administration of a distant colony. The very word peso itself derives from the Spanish peso, a legacy etched into our financial language, but the story does not move in a straight line. In 1762, during the 7 Years' War, the British briefly occupied Manila. For a short time, British and even improvised siege coins circulated. It was a crack in the Spanish monopoly. And then, of course, came the intellectual and revolutionary fervor of the 19th century. The ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity seeped in. The propaganda movement, led by illustrados like Rizal, Del Pilar, and López Gina, sought reforms. Their tool was the written word, not the sword. But the failure of reform ignited revolution. 1896. The Philippine Revolution begins. And with a revolution comes the need for a revolutionary government and a revolutionary currency. The First Republic under Emilio Aguinaldo issued its own paper money and coins. These are incredibly significant artifacts. They were not just money, they were declarations of sovereignty. They featured symbols like the L for Libertad, liberty, the sun with a face, and the phrase Republica Filipina. For the first time, the currency of the land was not adorned with a foreign king, but with the emblems of an emerging Filipino identity. It was short-lived, but the seed was planted. Then, another turn. The Spanish-American War. 1898, the United States defeats Spain and, through the Treaty of Paris and subsequent war, takes control of the Philippines. A new colonial power arrives. The American period brought a new economic system and a new currency. The U.S. established a gold standard currency for the Philippines. The coins, minted often in the United States, featured figures like Lady Liberty striking an anvil on the 1 peso coin, and later, profiles of Filipino heroes like José Rizal. English became the language of commerce. The peso was now officially divided into 100 centavos, following the American decimal system. This was the period of consolidation, of building a modern financial infrastructure that was, nonetheless, under American oversight. Then came the cataclysm, World War II. The Japanese invasion and occupation. This period represents a terrifying rupture in monetary history. The Japanese military government issued its own currency, the infamous Mickey Mouse money. It was fiat currency backed by force, not by specie or trust. Hyperinflation rendered it worthless. People relied on barter, on hidden pre-war coins, on anything of tangible value. The war left the economy and the currency in ruins. It was a stark lesson in what gives money its value, not just the paper it's printed on, but the stability and trust in the government that issues it. After independence in 1946, the new republic faced the monumental task of rebuilding and asserting its full sovereignty, including over its currency. We moved through various series, the English series, the Filipino series, the Ang Bagong Lipunan series. Each series reflected the political and cultural moods of the era. The portraits shifted from statesmen like Quezon to more nationalistic symbols. The language on the notes transitioned from English to Filipino. It was a process of indigenization, of making the currency ours, which brings us, finally, to the late 1980s. The people power revolution has toppled a dictatorship. A new constitution is in place. There is a powerful desire for a clean break, for a new republic symbolized in every aspect of public life. This included the currency. In 1991, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas introduced the new design series of coins and the BSP series of banknotes. And this is where our 1993 5 peso coin finds its home. This coin is a deliberate, condensed piece of that entire history. Look at it. The obverse, Andres Bonifacio, the father of the Philippine Revolution, the man who tore up the cédula, the tax document symbolizing Spanish subjugation. His portrait, on the coin, is a direct link back to 1896, to that first fiery assertion of nationhood. The reverse, the Philippine flag, waving dynamically. But not just any flag, its design encodes history. The sun with the 8 rays for the first 8 provinces that revolted against Spain. The 3 stars for the 3 main island groups. Every element is a historical reference, and the year, 1993. A year of relative peace and building after the tumult of the previous decades. The coin itself, being nickel brass, durable, meant for everyday use, symbolizes a stable, functioning economy of a sovereign nation. The fact that some were minted in Denver speaks to the globalized, practical realities of a modern state. The rare errors we discussed in our last video are accidents of minting, but the coin itself is a perfect, intentional product of history. So when you hold this 1993 5 peso, you are not just holding a medium of exchange. You are holding the endpoint of a 500-year journey. You are holding the legacy of pre-colonial trade, the heavy weight of Spanish silver, the defiant hope of the First Republic, the administrative imprint of America, the trauma of war, and the triumphant, hard-worn sovereignty of the modern Filipino people. Its value is 5 pesos. But its history? That is priceless.